Good afternoon, I hope everyone's well today, thank you for watching. It's 20 years since 7/7 happened down in London, where we had over 52 people, that were murdered by Islamic terrorists. Let's not beat around the bush, that's what they were. They were homegrown, they were born and bred in the United Kingdom. Much like Axel, that guy, that monster that took those little girls last year, murdered them, he was homegrown, alright? You find that many second or third generation immigrants are indoctrinated by the British state to hate Britain, and that's what they're educated with in school. They're taught to hate Britain, and they're told that Britain is evil. Britain is the worst thing ever. So when you import people, either refugees or migrants from alien cultures to the UK, and they're indoctrinated to hate and not love the United Kingdom, it's no surprise that their offspring do what they do. It's really no surprise. It's an entirely self-made problem. But specifically, none of the politicians are calling it what it was. It was barbaric, it was treasonous, and it was cold-blooded murder. That's what these terrorists did. Nobody is mentioning the religion, nobody is mentioning the ideology behind it. This is an insult to the memory of all of those that lost their lives, and we've done nothing to make things better. In fact, we seem to be intent on making things worse. Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London. Today, we mark 20 years since the horrendous 7th of July terrorist attacks that shook our city. We remember the 52 people whose lives were cruelly stolen. No, they were murdered. On a dark day, and our thoughts and prayers are with all of those loved ones, as well as more than 700 people who were injured by those cowardly acts of hatred. Not terrorism, hatred. We also pay tribute to those that ran towards danger on that terrible day, for the emergency service personnel, the transport workers and members of the public who showed incredible courage and compassion by putting their safety at risk to help those in need. Their bravery and selflessness must never be forgotten. 2 decades on, as we unite for a day of commemoration, I have a clear message for those who seek to spread division and sow hatred. You will not win. London's determination to stand together is stronger than ever. We will always choose hope over fear. Hope not hate clearly had a hand in this. And unity over division as we continue building a safer London for everybody. No mention of the religion of peace, no mention of the ideologies that these twisted individuals held to. No, they wouldn't be allowed to do that. That wouldn't be politically correct anymore. To call a spade, to mention the ideology or the reasoning behind such acts, can't have that. Definitely not. And then you need to remember that Sadiq Khan is a human rights lawyer, much like the Attorney General Lord Hermer and Tuti Kia. They built their careers on defending the worst of the worst scum in the world, and they think it's some sort of big boast that they've done this. Take Sadiq Khan for example. As Connor Tomlinson has posted, Sadiq Khan spent his legal career representing Islamists and speaking alongside jihadis at conferences. In 2003, Khan spoke at a conference where Shadid, leader of whatever terrorist organisation that is, whose terror camp trained Mohammed Sadiq Khan, perpetrator of the 7/7 bombings. Sadiq Khan's former brother-in-law, also a member of the said organisation, with his name appearing on a fatwa in 1998 calling for a full-scale war of jihad against the British and the United States. This is your Mayor of London. This is my Mayor of London. I don't know about you, but he certainly has some interesting bedfellows, and I'm not one of these people that subscribes to one person's terrorist is somebody else's freedom fighter. That's something I really don't hold to. Then we move on to the monarch, King Charles. Let's see what the king said on the same occasion. Let's see what he's put out today. Today, as we mark 20 years since the tragic events of 7th of July 2005, my heartfelt thoughts and special prayers remain with those of whose lives were forever changed on that terrible summer's day. While the horrors will never be forgotten, we may take comfort from the way that such events rally communities together in solidarity, solace and determination. This is the spirit of unity that has helped London and our nation to heal. As we remember those who were lost, let us therefore use the 20th anniversary to reaffirm our commitment to building a society where people of all faiths, backgrounds, can live together with mutual respect and understanding, and always standing against those that would seek to divide us. Charles R. Again, no mention of the religion, no mention of the ideology. No, keep it vague, keep it broad. Maybe people will forget. Then we move on to the leader of the Conservatives. I remember 7/7 so vividly. I was working in Trafalgar Square on the 6th of July, watching the celebration as London Olympic bid win. The whole city was full of pride, full of joy. And then, a day later, everything changed. Our capital was attacked, innocent lives, men and women, from all walks of life, were taken. What should have been a day of hope became one of heartbreak, and we are united in loss. Today we stand with those who carry the pain of that day, the families, the friends and the colleagues who never came home. We will remember them always. Again, no mention of the religion, no mention of the ideology. Mustn't be politically correct to do so anymore to mention that this is a growing problem in the United Kingdom. Politicians know about it. 90% of the MI5 watch list is from the religion of peace. To put that more broadly, that means 1 in 100 of the Muslim population are on the terror watch list. 1 in 100. Alright? Then we look at what the Prime Minister put out. Today the whole country will unite and remember the lives of lost in the 7/7 attacks. All of those whose lives were changed forever. We honour the courage shown on that day, bravery of the emergency services, and the strength of the survivors, and the unity of Londoners in the face of terror. Those who tried to divide us failed. We stand together then, we stand together now, against the hate for the values that define us. Freedom, democracy and the rule of law. Got to get those blur-eyed British values in somewhere, I guess, don't you two here? This is a disgrace. This isn't the country I want to live in. You need to call a spade, you need to be specific, and you need to be precise in the use of language. Vague, broad platitudes help nobody, and they are a disservice to the entire country. Maybe Nigel has got something good to say about it. Maybe he will hit the nail on the head.
20 years since 7/7, 20 years since those barbaric, appalling events took place in London. And today, everybody from the King downwards is remembering the remarkable courage of those, not just who work in the services in this country, not just police and ambulance and fire officers, but also just of ordinary civilians doing their bit to help others. And it is right that we remember that, but it's also right, and what nobody has said, is to remember why this happened.
Are you going to say it, Nigel? Are you going to say why it happened? Are you going to mention why it happened, or you're not going to bother?
The fact that we've allowed extremist ideology to exist in our country. Tony Blair has said we're safer today than we were 20 years ago. Well, I hope he's right. But you'll find many of the organisations that are allowed to spread this negativity and hate, they're actually banned in many other parts of the world, including in Arab countries. So yes, we commemorate the day. We remember those who died and suffered. We remember the bravery of those that went to help them. But we must absolutely redouble our efforts not to allow extremism to flourish.
Okay, so that was quite disappointing as well. He doesn't mention the specifics of any ideology either. Just broad information about extremism in general. Alright? I want to be very, very clear. The Muslim population that are what we would class as extremists, that's between a quarter and a third of the worldwide Muslim population. That's anywhere between 250 million to 400 million people worldwide that have extreme Muslim Islamic tendencies. Now, we don't know who they are. That's the thing. Because of our open border policy, we don't know who these people are. All of these people that come over on the channel, many people of that demographic that come in legally, we don't actually know what beliefs they hold. We do not know what their value set is. We do not know what they're bringing into the country, if they're going to be bringing anything of benefit that we actually need in the country. We don't know any of this. Many of the Arab countries, such as the UAE, that's the United Arab Emirates, have banned any sort of Islamist extremism in their country, and they've expelled many of these people from their borders. They just wander freely into the European continent and into the United Kingdom. There's no vetting process, and the moderate Muslims, the people that Sadiq Khan once called Uncle Toms, the people that he was likely alluding to aren't true believers. We don't know, we literally don't know. We don't know what is being taught in the mosques. We do not know. What we do know actually, and it is quite alarming when you see some of the videos about what's actually being discussed in mosques. Imagine that in a church? I think not. It wouldn't happen. So that's my biggest concern about all of this. Without calling a spade, without acknowledging the significant and rising issue, things like 7/7 will and could happen again. Now, before all of these things started happening in the United Kingdom, the biggest issue that we had was the sectarianism between Catholics and Protestants, with the IRA and the trouble spilling over onto the mainland from Northern Ireland. That was the biggest issue in the 1990s, and then all of this started, this unholy mess that came before us. I'm going to play this final clip now, and this is an MP quizzing the Home Secretary about prescribing certain organisations as terrorist organisations, which other countries such as the UAE have already done.
Today, our allies in the United Arab Emirates announced the fact that 19 entities and individuals have been prescribed and put on their watch list for terrorist links across the world. Very sadly, 8 of those entities exist in the UK and operate freely and are not prescribed. So could we have a statement by a government minister early next week on what action the government is going to take following the actions of the United Arab Emirates to make sure that these Islamist terrorist groups who are linked to the Muslim Brotherhood are prescribed in the UK and not allowed to operate freely?
On the issue of the United Arab Emirates prescribing individuals, as he knows that we are close allies with that country, we work very closely with them, and I will ensure that there is a ministerial response on the matter and the subsequent action that the government is taking on those individuals.
Richard Tice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What actions will the Home Secretary be taking following the news that 8 UK companies and organisations have been deemed terror groups by the United Arab Emirates?
The UAE is an important international partner for the UK, but of course other countries have their own rules on designation, and it would not be appropriate for the government to comment on their processes. What I can say to the honourable member is that extremism has no place in our society, and that we work very closely with law enforcement, local communities and our international partners to tackle groups and any individuals who seek to sow division and hatred.
So there we have it. It's not appropriate to comment on what other countries do. We need to focus on what our country does. That's the Labour Party line. Now, at the moment, the Labour Party is dependent on that block vote to get into power. There's a lot of MPs that are skittish about mentioning the religion of peace, and they are skittish because they don't want to lose votes. What about morality? What about doing the right thing to keep the entire country safe? Alright? If there was a Catholic terrorist organisation akin to the IRA operating in the United Kingdom today, we wouldn't have any problem calling that out. So why does a particular religion, Islam, why does that get a pass? There needs to be equality, and we need to call out everything all the time. Never by the party line of the uni party, because the likelihood is they are trying to spin a narrative, weave a tale, and keep things as secret and hidden as possible. We need to remember the people that were lost. We need to remember that this was allowed to happen. This wasn't a failure of government policy. This was government policy that allowed this to happen, in my view. As always, your mileage may vary. Now, if you like this video, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.